It's time for another matchup on Via 3 Protectorate. This time we've got Keyser and Whiteheart in opposing corners, and it's another symmetrical matchup because both of these guys are Cybran. So we get to take a look at another faction exploiting this map. I'm gonna say in before Loyalist Rush, probably from both sides. Alright, first land factory from Keyser, 4 power generators to follow with a mechs over there, then 4 more, probably an air factory after that if I had to guess. No, it is going to be a second land factory, third air build, so putting air off for quite some time. Whiteheart on the other side of the map is going to be going for third air as well with 8 power generators, same. So both of these guys using kind of similar build orders, but the placement is pretty drastically different. Probably has to do with the desired amount of adjacency. All right. Whiteheart is a 2300 rated player, otherwise known as Petrick, and then Keyser is a 2000 rated player. Both of these guys are complete pros, far out of my league and ladder, so once again, we get to watch the best of the FAF community duking it out, and hopefully we can learn something from these games. Looks like manual reclaim order is out for Whiteheart. He's also got an attack move order up to the front to pick up all of the lovely rocks and reclaim over here. Then on his ACU, it's just build orders, so no walking as of yet. Keyser is also just building with his ACU. He's also got some manual reclaim out for his engineers that are expanding to the edges. He's building 2 land factories on opposing corners that are probably going to build exclusively engineers to get reclaim. Then we've got land factories on the edges as well as a T1 radar for Whiteheart, and that radar is going to be able to cover pretty much the entire section. Yes, so anything that runs by in this gap or this gap is going to be covered by the radar in this corner, and that'll give him a pretty decent leg up in predicting run-bys. It's also near his T1 land factory and far enough back that anything running directly for the base is likely to miss it unless they have intel. So well placed there. Nice to see that kind of thing going on. We've got Mantis out that are going to be headed towards the south. That one is going to patrol directly in front of the land factory, which this engineer will be building. Probably going to see something similar on the other side just to make sure that there isn't anything that will slip through and kill that engineer. Air factory just begun, assisted by 3 engineers and the ACU, so that son of a gun is going to be built quickly. Thankfully, not much power stall going on, in large part due to the reclaim that is being picked up in the back of the base. Keyser's now walking down on the right-hand side. That's going to be his ACU placement, and it looks like Whiteheart is also heading to the right, so we may get to see an ACU on ACU fight later, depending on how this matchup plays out. 3 engineers continuing power spam for Whiteheart, who also has his air factory online. Beautiful economy balance there. Minus 16 mass, minus 75 power, building aggressively. He will get reclaim in hand to fix both of these things, I do believe. And then once he gets a couple of P-gens online, his stall amount will decrease. Well done indeed. On the north, we've got a scout across to see what is going on. Keyser also building up power, but he is much more heavily mass stalled. So he needs to probably devote a couple more engineers to getting reclaimed. Yes, he's abandoned his T1 power generator build in favor of moving out, getting more land factories online because he has realized that he has too much power. That feeling when you mass stall here on all maps, this is the least likely to get you a stall because it has got almost as much reclaim as something like the Bermuda Locket. Okay, maybe not that much reclaim, but it's a similar story. You shouldn't need to mass stall, but now he's got his factories down. He's going to be able to reclaim all of this on both edges, and that should get him into a good place. 3.5k to 3.4k on the scoreboard. Whiteheart is substantially ahead in mass income, 21 mass per tick. Look at the efficiency on this expansion. We've got all 4 mass extractors nearly built on the left side. Everything is claimed, and then he's got his ACU moving in on the right as well. 25 to 17 mass per tick, mostly due to the fact that the outside expansions have not been taken yet by Keyser. Keyser is ahead in score, though, I think in large part due to his early units. Let's go take a look-see at the tank count. Oh no, I was sadly mistaken. I do apologize. There are a grand total of 2 Mantis out for Keyser, and we have got 9 for Whiteheart. So why is Keyser ahead in score? We've got 4, 5, 6, 7 land factories versus 2, 4. It's probably the extra build power. So yep, as Whiteheart produces more units, he will move farther and farther ahead. Keyser definitely is hurting from that mass stall that he hit because he simply doesn't have the combat units out to deal with all of the raids that are coming by. So this Mantis is going to be free to claim a few engineers anyway before it's killed off. Engineers moving over to assist the land factory, hopefully get a Mantis out to deal with that threat. And then on the left side of the map, we've got even more Mantis coming in. That is, yes, that is going to be able to wipe out all 4 of those front mass extractors, and then units are going to have to respond from the right. So Keyser's got units coming. That's weird. He's building the land factories on the same side as his ACU. So he's now got his ACU guarding the side. That makes no sense whatsoever. Although, it looks like Whiteheart is doing a similar thing. He's got 2, 3 land factories, loads of land factories coming up over here. They both obviously have each other scouted, so they know where their commanders are. Maybe they're trying to concentrate the units on the side that they feel like is most likely to be attacked. But Whiteheart is doing an exceptional job of poking and prodding at Keyser in areas where he doesn't have very many units. Let's take a look at the intel that these guys do have. No, Keyser has 0 intel. Petrick also does not have any intel on the front bases, so my hypothesis is incorrect. Somebody let me know what is going on in this. Let's take a look at the reclaim real quick. See here, we got 7,000 reclaim, an accompanying power stall for Keyser to the tune of 200, and Whiteheart is still perfectly balancing his economy with 6,600 reclaim in the bag. So Keyser is ahead, but that power stall is not going to do him any favors. Why you no build radar indeed. Although these guys are building radar, it's simply the lack of scouting that is hurting them. All right, we're up to 5 land factories in progress for Keyser on the left side of the map. We've got an equivalent 5 or 6 on the right. Keyser's actually going to move his ACU forward to deal with these tanks moving in. Looks like Whiteheart has dropped quite a substantial amount of build power. Let's take a look-see. That is going to be a grand total of 16 factories. And then on Keyser's side, we have got only 13. However, there is a T2 land factory down that is building a T2 engineer, probably for power and TMD, and I called it at the beginning of the game. I bet you that there is going to be a hardcore loyalist rush. We've also got a T2 HQ on the south side, which is going to start a build of 4 T2 power generators. Going to be going for quite some time on those 4. It always makes me nervous in a 1 versus 1 when people build their power this closely clumped. Yes, it is easier to defend because it's all in one location and you have a shield that can cover all of them. However, it is also more susceptible to chain damage and to a single drop or a single bomber wreaking a massive amount of havoc. A Cybran Strat Bomber, I think in one pass could kill all 4 of these with the AoE that it has, which is a kind of disturbing thought. Thank goodness for shielding. Keyser over on the right is going to gain control of his own expansion. Going to eliminate all of the units that are up in there. ACU moving to the right quickly enough to cut off the run-by from Petrick's units. Meanwhile, on the left, a little bit of a raid going on. We got 4 versus 2 on the Mantis count, and those engineers and mass extractors are going to die. However, we do have a T1 land factory that's going to be able to replenish the supply of engineers. Unless these guys can kill this as well, this is not going to be a good shutdown on the expansion. Petrick has got quite a few T1 land units parked outside of Keyser's left expansion. That could potentially spell doom for the mass extractors contained therein. Hopefully Keyser can divert some units over there to make that good. Radar going down, nice little pickup there. we do still have the radar in the back and a radar over here. So Whiteheart's still going to have pretty dang good intel. He's going to be able to reach all the way out to here, and he now has a Rhino on the front line. On a map this big, I kind of wonder to myself whether or not it would be better to build Wagners, because Wagners are substantially faster than Rhinos, have slightly higher damage output per mass, and they're able to tank almost as well as the Rhino. They have a bit less health each, but it's not such a substantial amount that it's crippling. The Wagner versus Rhino effectiveness is much closer than most of the other factions' mainline tank versus amphibious or hover tank comparison is. So, I don't know. That's something to be experimented with, I suppose. Obviously, if a group of Wagners meets a group of Rhinos, the Rhinos are probably going to win. But at the early stage of the game, where you've got all of this T1 that's still roaming the map at will, then the Wagners might be a quicker response group. Keys are having to fall back in the face of a T2 unit and a small group of T1. I don't think, let's see, Whiteheart does not have, and neither does Keyser, overcharge. So they're going to have to be a little careful around these T2 units on the front. The T2 units do have enough HP to just tank the ACU fire for quite a substantial amount of time. I'm going to check the DPS numbers in just a second, and we'll see what those look like. On the north, I'm finally going to shut down that little bit of a push. Alright, if we move over here, we can go to the T2 factory and see that the Rhino has 45 DPS, and the Wagner has 50 DPS, along with another 25. Nice. That's actually a pretty substantial amount of increase on the damage side of things. So the ACU is going to take about 14 to 16 seconds to kill a Wagner, depending on... Oh, nope, 19 seconds. 19 seconds to kill a Wagner, times about 50 damage-ish. So you're going to end up with about a K of damage per Rhino if you're just tanking the damage while you're trying to shoot it down with your main gun. This is the point in the game where you really want to get an energy storage down and get access to that overcharge, so that those early units, you can just get rid of them, delete them from the face of the map, and that mass has gone to waste for your opponent. Alright, T1 Raid coming in on the north side. Got a few Medusas up here to try and deal, but deal they shall not. T1 point event should put an end to this little push, and then we've got a Rhino as well to back up the grouping. However, Petrick is going to lose control of that expansion for the time being. On the south, though, Petrick does have a stronghold on this expansion, and he is now up to 141 mass per tick versus 76 for Keyser. Keyser does have a group of 4 loyalists. Has his opponent moved to T3? He has indeed, and we've now got the first 2 loyalists out on the field, so that is not going to be an advantage for Keyser either. Maybe he can get enough eco upgrades to catch up, but I'm not sure that that's possible now since he is behind on map control. Basically, all Petrick has to do is hold the map that he does, reclaim everything that he can, and then, he's building shielding and flak to protect from any potential snipes to keep his ACU safe. That's what I was about to say. He just needs to play it cool, use his economy advantage, and he should win this easily. Keyser's going to have to pull out some shenanigans in order to make this work. ACU engaging with the Rhino again. There's the Loyalist to back him up, and then those Loyalists are going to move over to the right. Now the difference here is going to be that Keyser has got a nice little grouping of 6 Loyalists, whereas Whiteheart is slowly streaming his Loyalists from the back. He's got 5, 6, the same as Keyser, but when Keyser has his here and all of Whiteheart's are scattered towards the back, you can tell how that engagement's going to go when these units meet. Up on the north, Rhinos were able to recover the expansion, but all of that's going to have to be rebuilt. Yes, this game is cancer. Oh my goodness. Radar, no DPS, so not worth building. Rhinos are going to move in there. Should be able to pick that back up. Alright, the Loyalist's going to wipe out the entire expansion on the right-hand side. That might do a little to decrease the eco of Whiteheart, but not much at all. We're looking at roughly double the mass income for Whiteheart as for Keyser. just the amount of units that he's going to be able to build is going to be too damn high for Keyser to stop. We've also got 41,000 reclaim versus 33,000. So on top of doubling his mass lead every single tick, he's also got 10,000 more reclaim. This game is not going to end well for Keyser. Rhinos on the front line going to get knocked out by T1 point events. Since the Rhinos do have beam weapons, sometimes it's a little more difficult for the Rhinos to actually hit the point events that's behind wall sections. In this particular case, they do have an advantage because they're up on top of a hill, so they can fire down over the walls. But right now, they're focus firing the engineers instead of focus firing the point events, so that Rhino is going to die, and that is the end of the center push. Over on the right, we've still got Loyalists moving across the map. Land Factory going to go down. There's another Loyalist guarding the pass here. And then, of course, we've got Whiteheart's Commander on the front line that should be able to overcharge all of those into oblivion should they come close. No, still no overcharge. What on earth? We're 15 minutes into the game, and neither player has built an energy storage. What is this even? You're both rocking over 100 income, depending on the reclaim. There is no reason that you can't afford a T1 energy storage. No reason. Jonas in chat, 10 bucks, says the final is Zoc versus Whiteheart. Whiteheart is an exceptionally good and stable player. So I think that it is fair to think that he will perform very well. I don't know that we're yet in a position to call the finalists, though. We've got 2 bricks on the left-hand side. Those are, of course, going to be able to wreck Loyalists as they move in, taking for granted that intel is present. I don't know why that wasn't firing. Maybe there wasn't any radar when it was in range, but I don't know exactly what was going on there. Loyalists now moving over to the left. Looks like on the right-hand side, we've got more than a match for Keyser's force, and he has retreated his ACU back into the base to get it away from any potential T3 unit run-bys, because that can spell doom for your commander very easily. Then on the left, we've got a small collection of Loyalists and then the 4 bricks. So I think on the left-hand side, Keyser does hold an advantage. Let's take an interceptor count. Looks like we've got 57 interceptors versus 49, so a slight air lead there, but Keyser's now producing gunships, which Whiteheart's producing gunships, which Keyser can now see. And all he needs to do is build a couple of mobile flak, and he will be fine. Let's take a total unit count on the map. Looks like we've got 36 Loyalists straight up for Whiteheart, and then we've got the 4 bricks and 26 Loyalists for Keyser. It is a dire look indeed, and Whiteheart brutalized those interceptors. That was a brilliant first turn, and while the second turn might not be quite so brilliant, the damage is done, and those units are going to get eliminated. Keyser losing the vast majority of his air, no longer has the advantage in interceptor count, and those gunships will be free to roam the world. Although I think the gunships died. Hold on. Yep, that is why. Okay, so Keyser went in, targeted on the T2 gunships hard, and Whiteheart was able to pull in behind, and that's the reasoning for the first turn. So there's where, I know I say a lot of times in a lot of games, use your gunships or use your torpedo bombers as meat shields and use it to win air, and that was a perfect example of that right there. Loyalists moving up on the right. All you got to do is crash the party, man. There is nothing there to stop you. Whiteheart now up to 236 income. Keyser at 98. I think they just need to end this. Every game is a nuke game if you believe. I mean, if he wants to. He's now to the point where he's reclaiming his T1 P-Gens as he's building more T3 mass extractors. Like, he's in this for the long haul. Does he even realize how far ahead he is right now? Whiteheart has a T3 engineer on the front building T3 P-Gens, which is a little weird. I don't know why he's building them up there and not in the base. Although, with drops, a constant potential in any of these games, he's distributing his grid a little bit. and nobody is going to drop T3 units on an ACU because of overcharge, even though neither of these players is building overcharge. Oh, Petrick has overcharge. He used his double eco advantage to build an energy storage. That is a proper way to spend mass, guys. Proper way. 0 mass storage versus 1 mass storage. Isn't that kind of double, like we're seeing in the... Oh, okay. I'll stop. All right. Loyalist count, very quickly. We have got 39 loyalists versus... Hold on. 38. That's actually more even than I thought it would be. And over on the left-hand side, the bricks are going to be able to clean up every bit of this quite easily indeed. Keezer's up to 138 counting the reclaim, still at 98 income. He has not upgraded anything so far. He's got the gun upgrade on his ACU. He might be going telemaser. Starting laser. Yes, indeed he is. Well then, this could get exceptionally interesting. I did not even see that going by in the chat. Let's take a look at the reclaim values here. Oh, the power stall. Oh, the power stall. You are going to need T3 power before you try to go for teleport, Sonny. If teleport is indeed what you're going for. He might just go for stealth and jump in a T2 transport. That might be more what he's planning on. Alright, so the reclaim numbers are at 46,000 for Keezer, 55,000 for Whiteheart, keeping him in the lead by a substantial margin. That is actually super sketchy placement for the ACU. Why were you running over there? He's now walking back into the shielding. Did he scout? He may have scouted and seen what was going on. He definitely has current intel on this area. Interesting indeed. The shields I don't think are going to save him. Yep, stealth upgrade, not teleport. So the T3 Air Scout has definitely seen what is going on this side. And now that the T3 air shift has been made, there's ASF ready, starting Fluffy T3, so that's going to be more HP on the ACU. With the unit engagement in the center, this is probably going to come out in favor of Petrick, since he does have a couple of bricks on the front line. He can kite out the loyalists that are trying to prevent those from entering the base. This on the left, on the other hand, that's the thing. Bricks are able to overpower loyalists in most cases. So you've got drops on the left, which may be trying to distract the air. Looks like bricks coming down. ASF gonna drop the one. The other is gonna land, and now we've got damage coming in on the infrastructure. Scouts to the south side, but Petrick has got enough ASF that he could put 3 or so on each edge of the map. He is not going to get suckered by this one. Looks like he's also got a stealth group of loyalists and a brick on the front line here. More units moving up for Keezer, a little bit of a run by. He's devoting more units than he probably should on this edge. Air moving over to protect the commander. We've got ASF camping over here as well. Just forget about the bricks on that side. Keezer, where are you dropping? And Whiteheart, do you have that on radar? You do. We'll see if he picks it up. Keezer is flying directly over all of this. The air is over flak. Holy cow, so much death. And the ASF are moving to the other side of the map. I don't think he sees it. Holy smokes, what on earth? All right, so there's flak up here. The ASF are too far away. Here's the drop. They're targeted. Flak on the transport. He's on the ground. He's got Mazer. Whiteheart is fleeing as quickly as he can. That ACU is going to try to plow its way through this base. There is so much point defense. Oh no, Keezer, no. Oh crap. And there he goes. It was a valiant effort. It was a valiant effort indeed. That T3 mechs soaking the damage for all those T1 point defense so that Keezer could not zap them off. and then the rest of it was able to kill him. See, who says that T3 mass extractors are not excellent combat units? Because they totally are. I don't know, if he would have been able to target down the T3 P-Gen a little sooner, nah. Whiteheart was getting out of that one. He had basically no combat units in his base, but with the amount of T1 point defense that he was building, he just sucker punched that ACU as soon as it hit the ground. Well played to both you guys. Whiteheart ground up Keyser into a paste, as we were talking about earlier, that slow, methodical game style that just slowly pushes you further and further ahead of your opponent as you grind them up. And then Keyser was just not able to come back from that, no matter the amount of shenanigans. That is gonna wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.